Students Group. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Today, I am super excited. We've got a very special guest with us. It's Senior Master Dave Kikoen of the ATA. And so that is going to be super cool. He's actually our first client ever. And he was my son's instructor for Taekwondo, who got all the way up to black belt. So under Senior Master Kikoen. So it's pretty exciting to have him on here and to be interviewing him. So if you can see us and you can hear us, leave us a hi, give us a comment, click a like button, do something on there. I'm going to be looking back and forth from screens. This is also the first time we're ever trying to syndicate and live stream in two groups at the same time. So we're in the Get Karate Students group, which is our group normally, and then we're in the Dojo Nation group. We teamed up with Mr. Randy Reed. So we're excited about that. Is that working, Travis?
I think it is. I just peeked in there and it is. So I think we are in there.
So if you're in our groups, just comment. And if you're not seeing comments, if we are referring to anybody's comments, they're probably coming from one group or the other. So bear with us through all the tech challenges here. But if you're watching the replay, go ahead and comment the word replay in the chat so we can see that you're watching the replay. If you're on with us live, just give us a nice live in the chat and let us know that you're here with us live. Super, super excited to be talking with Master Dave Kikoen. We're actually going to talk through how he was able to double the size of the school pretty quickly and then sell it for top dollar. All this happened prior to COVID, but super exciting for him to be with us and to break down the story. Very encouraging, very inspiring. I love this guy. He used to give Colin the little mat chats all the time. You know, every time he had to go up for the belt, I used to joke, I wanted Dave to come give me a little pep talk before work every day because Colin would be trying to break his board and he'd only get 3 tries to get his belt. And he 2 times wouldn't do it. And then Master K would be like, Colin. He'd wave him over and then he'd whisper something in his ear and Colin would nod. He'd go over and boom, right through the board like butter. So awesome to have you here. Awesome to have you here. Comment if you guys can hear us and see us. We love the feedback. If you have any questions for Senior Master K, just type those in as well. So awesome. We getting some people on here. Are we being heard, Travis?
We're ready to rock. We got a lot of people. So
ready to go.
They're excited. They know Dave Kikoen. They're ready to hear what this guy's got to say.
Yeah, they do. They know you. So what I'd love to do is who out there is just kind of like ready to get their enrollment back, ready to start growing. Maybe you've tried everything. Maybe you've done the community events. Maybe you've been out in parades or birthday parties or kids expos or demos or Master K used to love the Nerf parties. We used to do those. If you've been doing that stuff, maybe you've been posting on social media, maybe you've been feeling stuck or frustrated, not growing, not getting a consistent flow of new white belts on the floor day after day or every month, and you're ready for a change. That was exactly Dave's story before founding us. And I'm going to let him share exactly what that's impacted in the enrollment and all that stuff specifically. But if you would, for those of you watching, go into the comments right now. If you've been frustrated with your school's growth, not getting enough people in the door, not enrolling students, not getting enough white belts month after month, tell us in the comments. Now you know it's live. Let us know what you've tried as far as marketing, as far as advertising. Give us the list in the chat. I'd love to do it. Maybe you've done parades, events, demos, school talks. I think we even did some library talks with Master K, where we go into the library and do like here's what karate does, getting into the schools. Maybe you hired an agency, boosted a post, whatever you've tried. I'd love to see what you've tried. And go ahead and say hi to us or live replay in the comments there. And we'll get started. So Master K, that's your super long intro. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How about yourselves?
Doing good. So we're officially here to celebrate, obviously, a few things, the sale of your school, which happened back in 2020. But before you sold the school, we helped you double it in size. And so I'm really excited for the opportunity to talk through that and all that stuff. Can't wait to ask you about how that feels later in the call. It's going to be really cool. You know, we've had a lot of conversations. We've eaten plenty of meals together. And so this is a special interview for me. But go ahead, introduce yourself. For anybody on here that doesn't know you, give us a little backstory, and then we'll dive sort of into the meat of the interview and give some insight into how fast things can change. So go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Sounds cool. Hello, everybody. Hi, GKS Nation, Dojo Nation. Honored to be here and part of this Facebook Live. I started my martial arts journey back in 1972. So coming up next year, it'll be 50 years of involvement in martial arts one way or the other. Started in Chinese Kempo for a year and a half or so, went on to Chang Hung style of Taekwondo back in the late 70s. Moved on to Shitu Ryu, a Japanese style, for a couple of years. And then in about 1986, found ATA, the American Taekwondo Association. Have been involved with them now for the past 35 years. And it's been a great ride. I did test recently and received my 8th degree black belt, or 8th dan, and just received that. So heading down to Little Rock later this week, Wednesday, for our national tournament, and just looking forward to it, having a great time. Martial arts has been a part of my life. It's probably the most consistent thing that I've had in my life. So all good. That's kind of my background. I haven't been a full-time school owner. Have always had the passion. I was in the automotive industry for 25 years, traveled a lot, which allowed me to teach for my instructors. And once I left that career, opened up my own dojang and had that for 15 years. And, we were a school and a club, and kind of went back and forth, but had a great time, a lot of passion, had a partner. Master Peggy Hogem was my partner in that operation, and ran a very, very, very successful club school for 15 years, and was happy to have Colin as a tiny tiger, who then came into juniors, made it to black belt, and all those stories, John, were awesome. I can feel them all, and through everything I see in GKS, everything that's written, everything, the book that you wrote that I finally finished getting through the other day, I just was able to relate with so much of that, as you and I and Master H, we sat down and went through the processes as they happened. And as we developed it, you always were there listening. I could just tell, and put everything together. And it's, tenfold what it started as.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, man, I love it. This is so exciting for me, because you pioneered some of the stuff, like the better offer upgrade and some. I mean, you just were ready to dive into that stuff, and it's exciting. So first, take me back to before we started working together, and your enrollment was at how many students do you remember about how many students we had?
Yeah, we always went probably in the earlier days, probably 40 to 60 to 70, back to 60, depending on what was going on in the neighborhood, and basketball, football, soccer, gymnastics, whatever the other season was. We kind of had to position ourselves to be that school, that club that kept training those kids to be at the maximum level of whatever other sport they were in. And, the parents acknowledged that. So it was good. And we had to just, allow them to take a break when they needed a break for their other sports. But we always had to do everything, all of our follow-up manually. So if we didn't mark a calendar, if we didn't pick up the phone, if we didn't send an email, if we didn't send a text, the majority would never come back. But, some would come back, but it took constant follow-up to be able to maintain, the level that we were at. We were a 3-day-a-week school, and 4 days or 3 days, depending on which year it was, but very successful at that. 40 to 60 students, always watched our expenses, and always made money doing it.
Yep. I mean, you guys are always, first of all, I feel incredibly blessed that you were our first martial arts school, because you're a beast at follow-up. I mean, I've never seen anybody so relentless, but in such a friendly, nice, non-corporate speak kind of sounding way. It was really great to work with you together, because, at the time I had an agency and worked with all sorts of businesses, and some of them were good at it, some of them were not, but you were just on the spot. He was so on the spot. I asked him for his numbers. I'm like, hey, I'd love to do a case study. Can you send me your numbers? And he sent me this spreadsheet that was so elaborate. I had to actually simplify it for the case study. Just like, here's what we spent, here's what he collected, here's how he got there. But I mean, he had everything on this thing, like every person, every lead, every time he followed up with them. It was so awesome to see. It made for such a great case study. It laid the foundation for what we've now helped over 200 something schools, or almost 300 schools, go through now. So it was really powerful to see all that stuff as a first time. I'm not sure where we'd be, honestly, as a company, if you were not our first client, because you just put so much like data and so much fire into it that it was really awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's like the I'm a suffering analytic. I can't help it. So, we all hear this in the martial arts industry, no matter what industry you're in. As you know, John, I'm involved with financial services, but
yes,
you have to run your business by the numbers. And I saw what you put together in your book, and it's very relatable to the processes that you and I talked about early on. And it's true. You have to follow your numbers. You have to know your goals. You have to know where you're trying to go, and you have to have a roadmap to get there.
That's it. I love it. So tell me a little bit about your marketing strategy before we worked together. You were always kind of stuck around that 60 to 80, 40 to 60 student mark, and never really went above, didn't really fall below because you're so good at the follow-up. But what were you doing? Like, what kind of, share with everybody? I know what you were doing, but share with everybody.
Of course, it's in all the posts that you do. I mean, that's everything we are doing.
I was there for a lot of it, man. I sat at the kids expo while Colin was out there getting people to spin the wheel. So
yeah, right. I remember you were going on family vacation, and Colin wanted to stay for the festival to help out. Right. It was like our number one ambassador.
Yep.
Just like awesome. Dad. So yeah, I mean, that's what we did. And my partner and I, we both had other livings. We both did other things for a living. She was working for a non-for-profit, and I was doing financial services, and every little thing we had to do took time. It took a time away from either our other businesses. We had to schedule it around our school. And, so what did we do? We did a lot of the festivals, just like you said. We spun the wheel. I mean, Colin loved spinning that wheel. It was great. We did board break stations. We did mailings and magazines to affluent neighborhoods and trying to track that. I mean, did they bring in the ad or didn't they bring in the ad? We always had a line of questions when someone came to our front door to try to figure out how they found us. And, a lot of those other things just didn't pan out as well. If they were at a festival and, they did a board break-a-thon, we did a board break-a-thon and we handed them the board. We said, bring us the board and we'll, sign you up for a month or whatever our trial process was at that time. Other than that, buddy programs, buddy weeks, bringing buddies in, signing them up through that. Like you had mentioned, the Nerf war parties. We just had a ball with those things. I mean, when you're charging, I don't know, probably the majority of them were probably $375 to $500 for a couple of hours. And you have, 20 kids, 24 kids in there. We did them out to the neighborhood through your Facebook postings. After we got involved with you, and we were bringing people in that weren't even related to the school, but we would have a lot of birthday parties for our kids, our own students. And we would always sign up a couple, from each one usually. And that was it. And the parades, and kind of that was it. I was never, as a business owner, as a martial arts school owner, I was never happy with the time that I had to spend versus what was coming in, the ROI. Just wasn't happy with it at all, and knew there had to be a better way, but just didn't know what it was until that one day where you called me off to the side.
I remember it. And you were kind of looking at me like, I don't know, maybe. Okay, but let's talk about it. You were kind of like brushing me off a little bit. I remember. And we sat down in that back office where you signed me up for Colin's leadership and all of his upgrades. And the tables were turned.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And I said, that's how we're going to do it. And you cut me a check. This guy paid like 6 months in advance for agency work. He's like, Here you go. Here's this. Let's do it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And then I went home and I was like, I said, all right, hon. I was talking to my wife. I'm like, we got to get these guys some students now. Let's figure this thing out, let's get it going. So it was awesome. And it was great to see. I so appreciate like your flexibility. And I forgot that we even advertised those Nerf parties. And I remember you calling me and going, yeah, we're booked up for like 2 months of these Nerf parties. We can't advertise these anymore. Should we just shut the ad off? And I was like, no.
I know. At the time, we didn't have Saturday classes at the time.
Yep.
And we would all of a sudden we would be booking a month out every Saturday, back to back parties. I mean, it was crazy. It was a nice little revenue stream too. $375, $500 a party. Get a couple of students out of each one. I mean, it was great.
Yeah. And the key thing was, for anybody that's looking for the outside in, what we help Dave do is just, instead of throwing a bunch out there, a bunch of random stuff and trying to get your name out there, we really sat down and came up with a strategy and an approach that made sense, that was step-by-step, that took him, to complete strangers coming in. He's been there. How long were you there? 15 years?
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. And people would come in all the time and be like, oh, I never even knew you were here, right? They'd say like, I didn't even know this place existed. And so that was what we did. We helped complete strangers come in with a step-by-step path by making just tiny little micro commitments, becoming fully enrolled paid students. And that's what he's been able to tap into. It's a great example of somebody who not only was able to follow the process, but really was kind of like part of the creation of the process. And I remember, my whole thing was I wanted to do the micro commitments and the value ladder. And initially I'll be totally transparent. I wanted people to take that first week free before they signed up for anything. And Master K was actually the one who said, what if I just give them an extra offer? What if I just said, hey, I saw you came in on Facebook, but we also have this other trial thing that gives you a uniform. You can try it out. Feels like part of the class. Blah, blah. A lot of that verbiage came from studying what Master K was doing. And when we started teaching other schools how to do that, they were like, wow, this is genius. And I was like, yeah, it is pretty good, isn't it? That was Master K came up with this actually.
I just thought it was something that everybody did. I mean, I've been in marketing, through my businesses and things like that. And customers always king no matter what. So you had to have a way to do it. And John, I'm making notes here because I don't want to forget about things that you just brought up that I want to, touch on. Because when you get to be my age, get a little forgetful now. Yeah. But, let's go back a couple of things here. So, first things first. So when we sat in that meeting, I knew nothing about Facebook. I joined Facebook. My wife always teases me, honey, you're on Facebook all the time. And I'm like, well, that's how we communicate with our students and our families and, see what's going on in our lives and all that. And then I remember you telling me, yeah, well, Master K, we're going to figure this out. I'm going to find students for you that look just like the people that are on your mat, just like the people that are training. They'll be, single mom, single dad, married couples, households with one child, households with 3 children under the age of 12 or whatever it was. And I'm just like, okay, I'm like, well, how are you going to do that? You're like algorithm this and algorithm that. And I'm like, whatever.
That's probably exactly what I said too. Algorithm this, algorithm that.
I'm like, how the heck do you spell algorithm? I don't know.
I don't even know.
So and I didn't understand it. And I'm going to tell you the moment where the light bulb went off for me is, my wife was hungry. I was hungry one night and I wanted to go get a steak at Morton's Steakhouse. I'm sure, a lot of you know where Morton's Steakhouse is and the quality of that food. So there used to be one up in Oak Brook, Illinois. And I just Googled, I was busy. It was during the day. I was busy. I go onto my PC, open up my browser. I'm like Morton Steakhouse, Oak Brook. And it didn't look like it was there any longer. So I'm like, oh, well, I remember there was one, let me plug in here before we run out of juice. Been on this Zoom meetings all day.
Too much Facebook, babe.
There we go. So I'm just like, whatever. I guess it's closed. I'll figure it out later. And here I am on my Facebook later that evening. And what appears at the bottom? A big juicy steak from Morton's. I'm like, well, how the hell they know I was? And I'm thinking, John, that's what he's doing. There's a secret. So that's what made me a huge believer in this, even though I knew nothing about it. That's what kind of hit me and made me a believer in it. So now that I got past that, let's go on to that free week.
Yeah, I love it.
When we first started this, and you're like, hey, we got to do this thing for free. I've done this in other industries, and free just works. And I'm like, no, I don't want to give anything away for free. So we did $99 for a month. We did $69, $49 free uniform. And, the clicks were so. There weren't a lot of appointments. And then, you were like, Master K, let's just try this. Let's just believe me. Let's try this thing for free. And I'm like, whatever. All right, let's try it. Let's go.
That's exactly how the conversation went. Whatever. All right.
And then what happened? All of a sudden, I start booking these intros after intro after intro, and then on the cheap side, I'm talking to Master H, and we're just like, man, we're popping these uniforms out at $15 a piece. We don't know if they're going to come or stay or not stay or whatever it was. And then I just, on my own, I just said, hey, when they came in, I would always ask them, how'd you find us? And they'd say, I was on my Facebook. Or if they told me they Googled it and they came in off a Google ad or a website, I would just go right to the paid trial, the intro. But if they came in off of Facebook, I would always just say to them, I go, hey, that's cool. You came in for the free week. Yes, no problem. Let's go do our intro. And I'd always invite the parents into the intro to sit down, watch the discipline, watch, their child go through whatever it was that we were working on, or adults. And then it was always, the secret sauce was always after the intro. After the intro, I would say, you guys came in over Facebook, right? Yeah. So that's the free program. I say, we have another deal running outside of Facebook, and I'll let you take either one. And just like you say, and just like you've written, it's exactly what we would do. Say, hey, we got this one, or we have that one for $99. We always did $99, and nobody ever barked at it. So we did $99 free week. $99 for 4 weeks for the free uniform. And they say, which one do you think we should take? I go, well, you can take either one. They can either come in their street clothes or their shorts and join class. And at the end of that week, you'd have a decision to make. Or you can do the other one, put the uniform on. They look like all the other kids training on the floor. They feel more part of the group. And then you have a whole month. You have 4 weeks to decide whether we're right for you and whether this is right for your son or your daughter. And then we would just take it from there. And then, of course, when we wrote out, because, we would always write out a agreement. I hate the C word, the contract word.
Yeah.
But we would always write out an agreement. And at the top of that agreement, I would always put if it was a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, I'd go 2 weeks out on the calendar, and I would just mark the date down. I go, here's a date. We're going to do a checkup in 2 weeks and see how you're feeling. And then we would just go from there. So we would always have the upgrade appointment booked 2 weeks out. And then the majority of them, or 50% of them, would upgrade, and we would do exactly, what you've written as well. And that is apply the money from the intro to the program and gain students till we were 110 students.
I love it.
It was awesome.
Great. It was really cool. It's really cool to watch. And that was where we really figured out that flywheel effect, where you were collecting money for the trials before Facebook was even charging your card for the ads. And you were like, it's like printing money over here. You just like had more. I remember the numbers only because the case study was so incredible to me. And then it turned out that it was actually a pretty regular thing once everybody started implementing this process. But your first full month of running that free week offer, do you remember how much you spent? I remember the exact dollar.
Was it $600, $400?
Yeah, it was $568 was the ad spend. And do you remember how much you brought in student lifetime revenue value?
I can't put my finger on it right now. Go ahead.
It was about $10,000, like 98,
yep.
98 something. So it was like, or no, it was just over 10,000, like $10,048. because I remember the case study was so incredible to me. I'm like, this is amazing. I posted it up. I was showing a bunch of school owners like, look, we spent $568 and we brought in over $10,000, and people were amazed. People were signing up for our agency work, and we kept duplicating it over and over again. And it was so awesome for me to watch and to see like, wow, this is actually a really cool, like step-by-step process that we can just plug people right into. And then as we continued to grow as an agency, we found some school owners that weren't getting the same results. And, this is like confessions of an agency owner, like, what? You didn't get 100% success rate? But of course not. But when we started to dig in, I was always very curious. As you know, I would jump on the phone and I'd be like, all right, well, tell me what's happening here. Tell me what's happening here. And we would have all the ads set up right. We'd have everything right. And if their numbers were in a slump, it was always something to do with that upgrade process. They were either giving people the free week and not even telling them about the upgrade, or they were, letting them do a free week and then upgrading them to a paid trial after that. And then, it was just, people were complicating the process. And as soon as I figured that out, I really got adamant as an agency owner to just say, look, this is the process. If you don't like the process, that's fine, but we're not the right agency for you. You have to follow it. And when that happened, our success rate, I'm telling you, I talk to other agency owners all the time, and they're always like, man, how do you get people to do this? How do you get people to do that? And really, it came down to just saying no to a lot of people who I knew were not going to be a good fit. And we still do that to this day. Our program is not for everyone. If you're not willing to do what we tell you to do, don't even apply, because it's not going to work. You've got to do it like the way we show you. Now, are there exceptions? Of course, there's exceptions to everything. But I think it's important for people. And this is what I love about you, Dave, is that when you find a process, you don't try and mess with it. There's a lot of school owners that we talk to. And when you do and you realize it, you're like, oh, yeah, what am I thinking? Because there was a couple of times where you're like, what should we try something different on the ad? And I'm like, oh, why is it not? Are you not getting it? And he was like, no, it's going good. And I'm like, well, why would we change it? You're like, yeah, why would we change it? Like, you were real quick to change your mind about changing your mind. Whereas some school owners, I get it. You're creative. I'm a very creative person too. I always want to try new ideas and get new stuff out there. But when something's working, man, milk it, right?
Yeah, no, totally agree. And I remember having those conversations because traditionally, we would run the New Year's ad, the Christmas or the holiday ad, the Thanksgiving ad, the Mother's Day ad. But you know what? You were right, 100%, where you just keep going with what you have and then never shut it off, right? We made that mistake.
Yeah.
We made the mistake. I remember, Master H and I were going into Thanksgiving season and we were going to be traveling, and we're like, yeah, let's just turn it off. And we forgot to turn it back on. And all of a sudden our students were down to whatever it was, 60 or 50 or 70 or whatever it was. And we're like, what's going on? Why haven't I been doing intros? Well, we shut the system off. I mean, what you did was took a school owner, and the school owners that are listening to this, I don't know that there's a lot of school owners that love an advertising budget, having to spend money on advertising. So, throughout this process, and it happened, I don't know, somewhat accidentally, but we were spending money and then we were getting billed by Facebook. And, we would have, my partner and I would have this conversation, man, how much did we spend this month? How much did we spend this month? And we weren't looking at the revenue. And that's what created that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I had to know in my mind that I wasn't spending $600 a month on advertising, or 500 or 700 or 200, if we had to slow things down. I had to substantiate in my own mind that bill that we had was being paid for, not out of pocket. And once we ran the numbers, put the spreadsheet together, and not only saw that all the intros that we were doing were paying for all the Facebook ads, it became a profit center, a small one, but a profit center on top of it, which was awesome.
It was awesome. I remember those conversations, and I remember at first we were talking about it, and then I remember just having that moment where it was like, I called you and I was like, so let's go over the numbers. and it had been like maybe 2 months. And I said, okay, so out of the free intros that come in, how many have signed up? And you said all of them. And I laughed, and I'm like, but seriously, like how many? And you were like, all of them, 100% have paid me for the paid trial on day one. And I was like, how can that possibly be right? And you were like, it's real. And then I remember you texted me once, you said, finally got a no. And you were all upset. He'd done like 30 intros or something, and one of them finally said no, and they maybe even came back later and signed up. It was just pretty cool.
That must have been when Groupon was in there or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Boy, was that that was a horrible. I didn't mention Groupon.
Groupon, yeah. Tried Groupon, right?
That just brought in the people that were looking to offload their children for 6 weeks or 4 weeks with no intention ever.
Yep.
They just wanted a babysitting service.
I say it all the time. Freebies don't attract the mat jumpers. It's platforms like Groupon that do. And the freebies are just a way to get people to invest a little bit of interest and a little bit of time into something until you can take them up to the next level. And that's exactly it. Anybody on here live right now, Travis had to jump off real quick, but for those of you that are on here listening, if you're inspired by what you're hearing here, if this is exciting for you, just give us a comment. Type the word inspired in the comments. If you're like, wow, this is awesome, enjoying this, give Master K some love, show him that you're inspired by his story. I think it's great. The success stories like this are meant to be inspiring because it's these stories of school owners who are doing, they're already great at what they do. They've implemented a system that's literally something that anyone can plug in and gotten success for it. And that should get you motivated. So if you're on live with us, or if you're on the replay, just type in the words inspired so that we can see that you're on here and that you're inspired. Looks like we already got some people being inspired. So that's awesome. So show them some love, give them some hearts and some likes and some chats, and let us know that you're inspired and that you're enjoying this. Let me ask you something, Dave, if you don't mind. Before working together, because I remember after we started working together, it was like 6 months and we had enrolled like 50 or 60 students relatively. And that was like explosively fast for you. Had you ever enrolled that many students before in 15 years in business?
Never. And Travis said, I've never been a full-time school owner. Again, this was my passion. We had a 3-day-a-week school, 4 days a week for a few years. We paid full retail rent, and we never were at a loss. I mean, we ran a very tight ship and were profitable. I mean, I remember when I sent my business plan into ATA headquarters, I marked down on their month 13 is when we're going to start drawing profit from the school. And month 13 is exactly when it happened. Wow. And that's because we stuck to the numbers that I knew they had to be. And, same with everything you write. I mean, again, in your book, the only thing that makes me want to reopen another school someday is to use your student magnet program. Because I was the student magnet. I mean, everything that program does, I had to do manually.
Yeah.
I had to keep a big calendar, and every time an email came through or a text, I mean, I remember back when GKS, probably before it was GKS, was strictly an email program. Yeah. And then I came to that one day, and that was, years ago. And I said, hey, John, people don't read their emails. People don't answer it. But it was capturing email addresses and phone numbers. And I would send them a text, and the majority would answer back. I'm like, man, you got to make this thing, send it to their phone, to their text. Yeah. And then that happened. And then that started blowing up, and I just had to keep track of everything manually.
That process of just getting text messages on into the system was like an 18-month project behind the scenes of like nonstop testing and trying. And I was for a while, I was like trying to learn how to write code and make an app. And I'm like, this is crazy. And finally, we just, partnered with some developers, thank God. And they were able to figure all that stuff out. I put it all into one place. But I want to go back to when we got to that point where you doubled and we crossed that threshold. And I remember taking a picture of the testing group, and it was like the whole place was full. There were people lined up in the back. Like, And I remember how excited the classes were, like how, I mean, you were always a great instructor, very energetic, but when those things were full, man, it's like, walk me through emotionally for you how that was when you just got to teach in a full room. Like, how cool was that?
It's incredible. And those of you that are instructors and school owners, you know that feeling. You know that feeling of having class schedules and having to revamp them based on the number of students and how many beginners, intermediates, and advanced you have. And going into those classes where there's 3 kids in class, 4 kids in class, and having to be the pumped up version of yourself. I mean, that wears on you, you know, but then, you know, the funnel gets full, everything starts flowing. All of a sudden you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, fill the mats, you know, the mats are full. You become such the best version of yourself, and it's so much more enjoyable. You can't wait to get going the next day. You can't wait to get going and back in class. And then all of a sudden that just triggers you to always learn more. You know, like Grandmaster Soon Ho Lee always says, there's always more to learn. And that motivates us as school owners and instructors to continue our path and continue our journey and continue to learn, because there's so many more people now to pass that knowledge on to. It was just an awesome feeling. And we literally doubled our enrollment.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It was so cool to watch. And then we won't have to get into like numbers or anything, but let's say, had you thought, I know you've probably thought about selling the school at some point, but do you think you would have been able to sell the school at all, or for what you sold it for, had you not implemented the student magnet process and system into the school?
Well, the short answer to that question is no. I don't think we would have been able to sell it for what we did if we didn't have that program in place. And you know, you got to have some program in place. You got to have any program. Like John says, you know, GKS may not be right for everybody. I mean, no program's right for everybody. But as long as you, advertising in this market, in this industry, it's a must. I mean, you have to do it. There's natural attrition that's just going to take place. And if you shut down your marketing like we did, you know, for a period of time because our mats were full, eventually you're going to be back down to that number. So you've got to keep it in place. It's got to go up. It's got to come down. Would we have been able to sell it when we did for what we did had we not had the program in place? No, we wouldn't have. And, you know, as school owners, we all look at our expenses. We look at what we run through our own dojos or dojangs as owners. And, you know, it caused me, John, to do another spreadsheet so that I could really substantiate when I went to market my school what the true dollars would mean to the new owner that doesn't show up in the financials, you know? So yeah, no, having GKS in place, turned on, bringing our, you know, new clients in, students in, filling the mats was absolutely a help. And, you know, if you want to, and there's a lot of different theories and numbers, like you say, on how to position an academy for sale, but make your school look as good as it can be, especially if part of your succession plan is the leadership team that you've created, and it's one of those students that have become an instructor that are going to take over your school. It's a little bit different. You know, the crowd, the student population is familiar with that face, and you may be able to get more money from your academy that way. But if you're marketing to the masses, it has to be done properly.
Yes.
Yes, it was a huge part of our success when we sold.
Awesome. I love it. So I know that you're not, we pulled you out of retirement in quotation marks, because I know that you're never stepping fully away from the martial arts, because I know you and we've had conversations, but I know you're working you're doing a lot of the financial planning for some school owners, which is awesome. And then you're also still instructing, right? You've gone and you're helping out another school and doing some teaching there as well. I would love to know, like, a lot of times at this point in the interview, I'll say this is just beginning. But for you, it's interesting. We're kind of like a full circle as far as that part of the story goes. So I would love to know, like, from anybody who's watching right now, who's like looking forward to selling the school at some point when they're ready to kind of pull back and unplug. But I'd love to know how inspired you are or what questions you guys have. We're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but I'd love to know, like, what kind of a ceiling do you need to turn into a new floor for that to happen? Like, where do you need to get? And I love how Master K is so, like, analytical that he knew the numbers. And that's one of our key pillars when we're training new school owners that come on board with the Student Magnet, is knowing their numbers and knowing what it actually takes. Because I can't tell you how many school owners we talk to who are awesome instructors, amazing. They pour into the lives of their kids and their students in their school. But then when we say, well, where does your school need to be for you to feel awesome? They've never even thought about that question of, like, where do they need to be? So if selling your school is something that you need to be, think about, like, what's it going to take to get there? How many new students are you going to need to have? What kind of processes you need to have in place for somebody to be able to walk in and say, here's some money. I want your school. I want to take over. So super inspiring. I'm so glad that we got to do this interview. And, again, we're not looking for just the school owners to work with that are just, like, looking to money grub and charge a bunch of money for something that isn't good. Master K has been an amazing instructor for my son. And, I've seen it firsthand. And really, I love the martial arts. I love the self-defense stuff. And I love all that. But really, I see what it's done in his life as far as, like, character development and how he's learned to be disciplined in things, because you guys taught that stuff in class and you explained to them, like, what discipline is and what respect is and what goals are, like those kind of things for a kid to have. He was so little when he joined, and now he's 14, he's in high school, and he's got goals in school. He's like, we went on vacation, we took him out of school for a week, and he's like, Dad, I got to make up this test, I got to do this. And he's planning it all out because he's got goals. He's like, and I even said to him, like, yeah, school's important and stuff, but he's like, Dad, I want to go to college. Like, he has this stuff because of the type of character stuff that you guys instilled in him. So
it's very rewarding, gratifying, when, you've had a student from a tiger, a 4-year-old to an 8-year-old to a 12-year-old through high school. And then the parents come to you and say, we're trying to get into this college. Could you write a letter of recommendation? And it's so gratifying to be able to speak into a letter like that to a college about the leadership potential, the leaders that they've become, how they interact, and it's wonderful. So yeah, there's so many rewards. It's such a rewarding industry. It's such a rewarding career. And like you said, I'm, in what I'm involved in now, and school owners, I certainly hope that you take your numbers from your own schools and whatever processes you use, and you work with somebody on your financial end, work with somebody who makes your numbers make sense. Because when you get into, college education planning for your kids, when you get into retirement planning for yourselves, whenever you have partners in a business that might involve, buy-sell agreements, key man agreements, things like that, work with a professional at it. It's not, all those things are not do-it-yourselfer projects.
Right.
I'm not saying that people can't do it. People can certainly do it and be educated on it, but work with a professional, just like your families work with you as a professional.
I love it. All right. So for everybody who's been inspired today, this is what we do here at Get Karate Students, GKS. We help martial arts schools fill up their mats with students. We do it day after day after day. And let me just put a little caveat out there. We're not just looking for people that just want to enroll a bunch of students, but just like Master K here, he was stuck at 40 to 60 and wanted to get above that. I don't know. We might have pushed him on the goal a little bit to go a little further than he thought it was even possible, but we got him up over 100. That's great. What we love to do is work with school owners that have curriculums and programs that are built with this kind of love and intention to impact the community, to help improve and impact the lives of the communities around them and the students that come in. So if that's you, what I would love to do is invite you into a private call, a 15-minute call. It's not like some big sales pitch, totally free, nothing for sale on the call. And it's the same kind of call that Master K and I went through. We went through this face-to-face in his dojo, but basically we'll jump on the call and we'll just kind of go through the process and understand maybe what kind of blind spots are there, what you might be missing as far as the pillars in enrolling students, and understand how we can specifically help and really help formulate a game plan for your specific school and your specific situation. And we might even take a peek at some of your current marketing efforts and give you some practical strategies that you can implement right away. But if you're the type of school owner who has a quality program and you want to get your program in front of more students, right? That's what it's really is all about. And you want to do it the same way that Dave here has done it. What we're going to do is we've opened up some time on our calendars on probably mostly Travis's schedule for a limited time that we're going to give you about a 15-minute window to come in and get a game plan. And again, what we're going to do is just go over some key details about your school so that we can understand where you're at. We'll talk through some of the issues you're running into. And really, what's really great about these game plan calls, they're super fast, but we can help you cast a vision for what it would look like working with us directly. And, you know, if you want that 15-minute game plan, it's only available for a limited time. Just type in the comments right here, game plan, and we will definitely give you guys some answers. We'll give you some clarity. This call allows us to see if we even want to work together or not. So it's not, you know, there's not a big sales pitch. You're going to get a ton. There it is. He's reading the book up. It's going to give you a ton of clarity, you know, on what it would look like to work with us. It's going to allow you to see sort of what might entail. And it's really going to give you a ton of value. So you're going to get a bunch of clarity out of this, and it's going to be specifically for your school. So for everybody here that's watching, if you're a school owner and you want to dial in the same process that Dave here has taken his school from stuck at that 40 to 60 mark to over 100 and able to sell it, then just type game plan in the comments right now. Looks like we already got a few of those already. And once you do that, somebody from our team, probably Travis or myself, are going to reach out to you through Facebook Messenger. And just a quick tip on that. If you don't see it in your messages, sometimes you have to check the message request folder. And so because if we're not connected already, then that's where it's going to get stuck. But we're going to open up some time on the calendar. We're going to get you on the books either today or tomorrow or the next day, and maybe even the day after that. And we might even give you some additional resources or some homework assignments to kind of really get all the pieces of the puzzle together, maybe some trainings, so that you can kind of look at our process from a nice high level. And we may give you some methodology training that is going to give you some answers and some clarity. So go ahead and type game plan in the comments. Now, I keep pointing over here because that's where all my comments are showing up. So I can see them from both groups over here coming in. So got game plan looks good. Really quick, if you're still with us and you're interested in getting on the phone and talking through what it might look like to work with us and implement some of these systems, just type the words game plan into the comments and we will reach out. But back to you, Dave, real quick. I'd love to hear just really quick, like, what are you the most excited about looking forward now that we've kind of moved past all those original goals? What's the next year look like in Master Kikoen's universe? Like, what are you excited about?
Well, I mean, a few things. I've stayed, you know, for those of you that wonder what's going to happen when you're, I guess, no longer a school owner, find a place, make yourself a resource for everybody in your group and anybody that knows who you are and what you've done and what you've accomplished over your life. So, you know, I kind of go in a couple different directions. Like you said earlier, I teach for one of my mentors in the martial arts. I still stay active with all of our program. I teach on Wednesday evenings there. I stay involved. We've created within our organization an outreach team. So I'm on that team with 9 other high-ranking masters, making ourselves available to everybody in our organization. So if your organization does not have a team like that, maybe you'll be the one to help create that. So I do that. And then, of course, I stay involved with school owners. As John mentioned earlier, I'm a financial planner. So, and I've been doing that for the last 17 years. So, it's humbling. It's gratifying and I work with a lot of small business owners and mid-sized business owners. So I stay involved with martial arts school owners. Hey, it's a natural market for me. I'm very comfortable in that space. And I do financial planning. What do? I help people sleep better at night and retire with less stress. So
I love it.
That's what I look forward to, just growing all those different businesses. I'm, working on a platform, and I've already rolled it out where I'm doing live Zoom financial webinars for organizations. So always looking at continuing. I don't think retirement is part of me, at least not until I'm way down the road, because I've got to stay busy, got to keep active.
I love it.
Training.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate everything that you've been able to do for, us as a company, but, more importantly for Colin, who, has been through your black belt training. And, even though he's not practicing anymore, I know he misses you guys a ton. And I know that all that stuff that you instilled in him as far as character has stuck with him. I know he's got a good foundation for self-defense. And so, I don't have to worry about him like going off into high school and stuff. So it's beautiful to see the impact you're making on the community and that you've made already and that you continue to do. And I know that, as we go through this transition from being the school owner to selling it, and you still have your obviously your financial planning thing, which I'm actually a client of Dave's also in the financial planning. So it's awesome, and we're working towards some goals on that too. So thank you for the inspiration, sir. It's awesome. We still got a few people on here watching, quite a few actually, between both groups. So awesome, very cool to be on here, and thank you for inspiring everybody. And again, everybody who's watching, if you guys want the same systems and the same processes and the templates and all the stuff that we worked together with, and the support and the mentorship that Dave had from, going from 40 to 60 to over 100 students, and you're considering working with us and going through that same process that he implemented in his school, or maybe you just have some questions and you're wondering like, hey, I don't know if this is right for me. How is it going to work for my school? Or what would it look like with my specific situation? Mine's a little bit different. Or maybe you just want some more information on how we can help, or what that would look like to work directly with us here at GKS. We're offering these few game plan calls over the next few days. They're 15 minutes tops. There's literally nothing for sale. You absolutely cannot buy on this call. Like, we won't even let you sign up during that call, because it's more of just like a touch base. Let's see what it would be like to work together, because we're actually looking at you too, and we're saying, hey, are you the right person? Because we only want success stories. We don't want people... our criteria for joining the Student Magnet is what's the balance on your credit card. That's not how it works. Like,
hey, John, I got to interject something. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a breath, and I'm going to spend 30 seconds here.
Okay.
Just telling you a little bit about John. He's done everything he's ever said he was going to do. And in any purchase, because it's a purchase, right? Like anything else, you've got to know, like, and trust the people that you deal with. And I have never dealt with anybody that's had such honesty and integrity with what they do. John and Travis are such a great team. They listen. As business owners, we're always concerned that, we have an issue and nobody's listening to me. They have these Q&A calls, and a lot of you know that already, on what, Mondays and Thursdays, John, is that right?
Yeah.
And they listen. They're always wanting to do the best thing for their clients. They know their competition, and competition is good. Like John says, not anybody is right for everybody. And it is a space that's gotten flooded. If you're paying attention to Facebook, it is. But, we always want to work with people we know, like, and trust. And the level of honesty and integrity that GKS works with is beyond any company I've ever done business with. So pick up that phone, make a call. I'm going to do this like John does, pick up the phone, make a call, schedule 15 minutes, make a difference in your life. When you make a difference for your school, you make a difference in your life. And they're just so interrelated that just do it. Pick up the phone. If you want a call, just put call in the message. Is that what you say, John?
We're using game plan today. Game plan.
Do it.
There you have it.
Like I said right here, where's it say down here somewhere? It's the best thing we've ever done. It's true. It's the best thing we've ever done. And if you happen to be an ATA student, school, and you're going to be at Fall Nationals, figure out a way to get in touch with me. I'll make sure you get one of these books. How's that?
Hey, all right. I love it. Cool. Well, there you have it, folks. Type game plan in the comments right now. We'll be watching out for that. Travis and I are going to be looking over all those messages to make sure we reach out to everybody there. We'll send you a private message through Facebook. We'll jump on that quick phone chat. We'll give you some clarity, walk you through what it would look like to work with your school specifically. And one day, maybe you'll be right here on an interview like Master K with me and Travis. And it's just so awesome to see like how quickly stuff happens like this. And, I wanted you to be our first interview, but we just timing wise didn't work out. So you're like number 4 or 5, which is awesome. We got a bunch more planned out already, but for those of you watching right now, you type game plan. This could be the moment that changes the trajectory of your school and your life. And one day in the not too far future, we might have you on here interviewing you on your success in the program to inspire others. So that's awesome. And it's just amazing how quick things can change when we got these systems in places in your dojo. And what we want to do is just show you how abundant you can be while working less and having a bigger impact on your students. And again, we're only looking for school owners who want to make an impact in their lives. We're not just like money hungry dojos out there trying to just fill the mats up with a bunch of watered down curriculum. Of course, it's awesome to make a bunch of money. Most of our members make a bunch of money, but it's because they're doing the right thing. That's like it's a symptom of doing the right thing, right? It's a sign that says, hey, I'm doing the right thing because it's consistent like that. We don't worry about the McDojos and the belt factories. They can have their little time in the sun. They'll go away. But we understand that the long-term impact is coming from school owners like Master K here who care about their students. They're making an impact on their community. And if that's you, like if this is resonating with you, then we're the right people to work with. So let's hook you up on the game plan. Type game plan in the comments right now. We'll give you some resources. And, and by the way, if you're not a good fit, we do this all the time. If you're not a good fit, we might send you some resources, some free stuff or some trainings, or maybe we'll hook you up with a friend of ours that would be a better fit for you. We have lots of connections in the industry and, we know we're not the best fit for everybody. And so if it's not right, you can get a free little consultation on somebody who's an insider that says, hey, you'd be better off over here. And we'd love to help you figure that out to just give you some clarity. We know that this community is small. The last time I checked was before COVID. There was only about 15,000 martial arts schools registered with the government. So I don't know if there's more or less than that now after COVID, but that's a pretty small community. And we know, like, we have to do what we say we're going to do because for one, you guys could find us. And if you find out where we live, I'd be worried about most of you confronting me in any dark alley. So we're going to do what's right out of fear, but mostly out of just because, we care about this stuff and we know that the long-term success is going to come from your success. So Dave, I want to thank you for your patience while I yammer on all this time. It's been a pleasure working with you, man. It's been a pleasure interviewing you here today. I was inspired and it was just fun for me to kind of remember back through all that stuff. And I know a lot of people were inspired here as well. So any final words before we wrap up? Anything else you want to share with anybody?
Oh, me.
You. Yeah, you.
I thought you were asking the crowd. No.
No.
Just keep doing what you're doing. We all make a difference in everybody's lives. I mean, what are we other than serving on the board of directors for each family that we take care of?
Oh, I love that.
I mean, that's what we do. We're part of that family. And, a true leader never knows how far their legacy will go. It'll go on for years and years and tens and hundreds of years. So keep doing what you're doing. Grow your schools to the point that you're comfortable. You don't want to get bigger than you need to be or bigger than you want to be. And And that's it. Everybody enjoy, train forever. There's always more to learn, and watch your numbers.
Awesome. Thanks again, sir. Can't wait to see, how things go. And for everybody here that type game plan, we're going to be reaching out to you individually through a private message. So thank you guys all for taking your time to join us here today. And everybody who's still here with us, give Dave a big thank you in the comments, and give him some likes and some loves. Hit those buttons and let him know that you appreciate hearing his story and sharing what worked. Hope you guys were all inspired. And for those of you that were looking to work with us, just looking forward to getting to know you all and getting to learn more about your schools and talking through some stuff on that game plan call. So thanks, Dave. I appreciate you, sir. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. That's all we got. Have a great rest of the day.